It's not like playtime.
It's like torment.
It's like torment for a cat.
Aww. So we're not doing that to the cat.
No, we're not doing that to the cat. Oh, that's crazy. You know what, dude? Doja Cat is still blowing up right now. I mean, even more so blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
And my claim to fame in relationship to Doja Cat is,
Mm-hmm.
I can probably say I'm the first person to ever interview her.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. I could probably say I'm one of the I'm Doja Cat's first interview. So, yay me. If I can find that shit on YouTube, it's somewhere on YouTube. Me and Crystal interviewing Doja Cat at her, her show at Bananas, which is kind of great. Somebody will find it. You know, what's that boy's name who always finding goddamn old shit about people?
Nardwar.
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 Nardwar. He'll probably find that shit, show it to her in an interview with her. And she'll be like, dude, I haven't seen this interview in forever, nigga, since I was 17. That's cool. And like it's an interview with. I mean, that was a great little fucking little hookup we had. We was interviewing people at Bananas. Pigeon John was on that segment. I mean, we had a nice little segment going, and I kind of still wanted to do it, but it's like niggas don't, you know what I'm saying? They want to act extra and shit. So, like, you know what? LA Cool's fucking
Oh, you're on video. I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm not just talking. Dude, when I ever talk to you like that? No, I'm just kidding. When
You put out the joint.
LA Cool's fucking
Give me a lighter.
what's it called show? His because I want to call it a tribute show, but it's not because thankful the nigga's still alive. It's it's a charity event.
Benefit.
Yeah, it's a benefit show. That's what it is. So that would be a great opportunity to do that shit. And I'm just throwing it out there for somebody who might want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, there really does need to be like a Project Blow, Chaos Network, like because that's what we're gonna do an online magazine with Chaos Network, and we're gonna include Bananas and Project Blow and Good Life artists and you know all the other artists that fucking you know what I'm saying have come through you know Chaos and have utilized Chaos as a platform because Chaos is a platform. I mean you know what I'm saying Chaos Network. Shout out to Ben Cotwell. I appreciate the man for like every you know all the opportunities that he's given me. You know what I'm saying and all the insight. I've got a lot of insight from Bill from Ben. You know, as far as you know, like you know, the black exploitation, music. You know, what I'm saying the influence of Lamert on music and all that other good stuff. You know, history uh, about the community and stuff like that. So, I mean, Chaos Network is a great resource. Utilize it. Don't fuck it up though. Use it. I mean, utilize it. You know what I'm saying? Respect Ben and what Ben is, you know what I'm saying, been doing and it has accomplished with Chaos.
And the direction he's going.
And the direction,
Make sure what you're doing is in line with the direction he wants to go.
Right. Make sure what you're doing is in line with the direction that he wants to go. Because I mean, you want other people to be able to utilize that resource down the line,
Right.
and it is an excellent resource. And Ben is, you know what I'm saying, very cooperative about, you know, allowing you to utilize that resource.
As long as you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, as long as you're doing it the right way. And you respect the fact that, you know what I'm saying, cash rules everything around me. I got another thing, karma rules everything around me too. 'Cause on a non-local level, you know what I'm saying, on an objective level, that's kind of, you know, I might do something like that. Karma rules everything around me. I got to get the karma.
You got 22 views.
On what? Oh yeah, that's what's up on atheism.
Mm-hmm.
On atheism, because you know, I realize that how you label this shit it has something to do with it. I mean, these things been out for months, and some of it's been out for like you know, some of them only been out for a week and stuff. And I appreciate the medium more than anything else, the ability to express myself. We live in a fucking excellent fucking time. Not only can you have access to unparalleled information as far as man's history is concerned. In no time in history has this many people had this much access to information. The Akasha records, what is that? It's like a local
Akashic.
the Akashic records.
Yeah.
It's like a localized version of the Akasha records. I mean, because only yogis, you know what I'm saying? Only yogis who achieve guru status really had access to Akashic records. You know what I'm saying? The average person didn't have access to Akashic records. But now you have access to this virtual local form of the Akashic records, which is the internet. I mean, it's crazy. And then if you look at like, in this fulfillment in Revelations too that I see of metaphor, not saying see, and that's the thing about it is that we have been looking for a literal manifestation of this prophecy and not realizing that it was manifested in metaphor and that it would manifest metaphorically in more exact metaphors, but only metaphors of probability. Not see you're putting too much improbability in the fulfillment of these metaphors. That they will be literally fulfilled and not figuratively fulfilled. They're figuratively fulfilled, and this is this fifth dimensional shift that we're experiencing. That is really the awakening, which is really the rapture, which is really like Plato said, like, and that's where Christianity gets its basis of its dogma from is Neoplatonism and Platonism, or the teachings of Pluto and those who follow Pluto in relationship to heaven and hell and purgatory. But Plato's version is not moral; it's logical. And if you don't accumulate a certain level of logic, then you're not going to be aware. You're not going to be prepared for the awakening. Now, with the traditional Christian, is if you don't gain a certain level of morality, in which no one can do this. It's impossible. This morality is impossible. The law is for the wicked. It's not for the righteous. It's impossible for anybody to fulfill that moral law. You can only fulfill the logical law, the logistic law, because this is what this is. It's the logistic law because it allows you to navigate through time space. That's why it's logistic. It's a logistic law versus a moral law. Moral law doesn't give you that's the difference. That's why the word logistic is used. So that's a really good word to use for it. Oh, wow. It's logistic. It's the means to navigate through your environment, your current environment, which is this probable universe or this probable dimension of the universe. Which, and again, see, the thing about it is when I said cosmology has to change in certain senses in relationship to this theory, it gives you a new cosmological view of space, time, and time, space. And even to the point that you have to use the terminology time, space is something that physicists don't like to use. They don't like to use that configuration, that realizing that space, time is a fabric. So you can't mention space without time, and you can't mention time without space. But when you're focused on time, the temporal aspect of space, then you have to talk about it from that standpoint. Time. It's a second dimension. So time and space have to have a second dimension. You can't just have a second dimension of time. You have to have a second dimension of space. Therefore, you have to have a third dimension of space. So then you have to say there's this conical space, linear space, and which is wave. Linear space would be wave space. And wave space, the expansion of space is what we're actually basing our theories on. Is wave space, the expansion of space, which is wave space. Versus, say, where the most viscous aspect of space, mutable part of space. And then you talk about, curved space and conical space. So these are concepts that I've come up with where, I got my notes and stuff. Now, a lot of this shit, like I say, I write shit down and then I don't write shit down. Like my nationalist shit, I write down a lot more than like my fucking physics shit. The physics shit, I don't, I have to determine the mathematics and the scope of how to do it and whatever. So, but basically, I just use kinetic theory in order thermodynamics, which is kinetic theory is based in thermodynamics. It's a means to like develop my my model of the universe, so forth. So, my mathematical model of the universe, which is basically what the large majority of theoretical physicists use. They use heat signature, and because you got to realize that our universe is a bunch of particles, or a bunch of real particles too, but molecules, because the floating around a gas. So the more tighter molecular bonds are floating around in lighter molecular bonds. So therefore, you can say are looser molecular bonds. So therefore, you can actually determine a lot about the universe's movement and map the universe in a certain way in relationship to that. That's kinetic theory as far as mapping is concerned. I like to say that theory is scientific method. I'm sitting here watching Flash, and I'm like, dude, you know what? I explained the scientific method, but there's a more complicated sense of the scientific method. But basically, it's theory. Theory is the scientific method. What comprises theory? Hypothesis, conclusions, and therefore the testing of conclusions determines the validity of a theory overall. You create a hypothesis utilizing mathematical formulas to the probabilities that occur within our universe and determining based upon that math what the outcome of those probabilities will be. Correlations and connections determine a hypothesis. Then you can conclude an outcome, and then you test that outcome, which is the conclusion. The total is a theory. So theories are not just ideas. Like the brother was kicking, he was like, it's just ideas. Dude, what you're talking about as far as melanin is concerned is a theory. However valid that theory might be, it's a theory in relationship to what you perceive melanin doing. Based upon some factual evidence, but based upon observable phenomenon in nature.
You're too dark on the screen.
No, I'm not. I can see myself. You can't see me from there because you're from a different angle. Entirely not that dark. Okay. So I can see me.
But the light is up there, so your face actually is shadowed.
Yeah, a little shadow.
It's pretty shadowed.
It's not that shadow, bro.
Your
Sis.
lighting sucks.
And I have to dude. I know lighting a lot better than you do, bro. Sis. See, the thing about it, I gotta get that. We have to get that because
you are dark. I am a YouTube video watcher. See, I'm good. I'm in the light. I caught that lighting. You, on the other hand, there you go. See?
You have to be able to take constructive. Who the fuck is they?
Whoever's watching.
You have to be able to take constructive criticism, and that's a part of a learning process as well. That's what theory does.
I'm
his
manager.
She is my manager. She's OMG management, man. Old money management. Old money gangster management. It's that old money. You know what I'm saying? It's an old money mind state versus a young money mind state. I have an old money mind state. It's not really the possession of money. It's possession of the knowledge of old money, the mind state of old money. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm putting on my old money mind state.
It's about that long-term, what's it called?
Long-term
ant shit?
Long-term planning,
the ant shit.
Yeah.
Not the grasshopper shit.
Not the grasshopper shit. Grasshoppers are short-term planners.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. Ants are long-term planners. With the parable, you know what I'm saying? And I love parables, and that's another thing I thank my mother and my father for, exposing me to parables. More so my father, because a lot of my education, my cultural education, took place at Paul Robeson, African American Cultural Center in Buffalo, and that was by design of my father. You know what I'm saying? My father is far more the educator, the nurturer, even though he did it in a very disciplinary way, and that's kind of what I needed. I needed a disciplinarian. I needed somebody who, and when I said parameters earlier, I meant boundaries in relation, but parameters is just as good. Boundaries in relationship to a woman that needs to. Everybody has a right to set their own boundaries, and that's that rape culture that we have, where we feel that we have a right to stare at people, but people don't have the right to say, "Hey, dude, you're staring at me." And white people, in relationship to their perception of black people, like, we don't want to be stared at. But white people who are not familiar with black people, when they get into an environment where they come into contact with black people, tend to stare at them. And black people were like, "Yeah, dude, what the fuck are you staring at?" And black people don't like to be stared at by other people that they don't fucking, other black people they don't fucking know. But that's a very one-dimensional viewpoint of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a very apathetic viewpoint of it in relationship to the way in which it's described. Even the fact that we have this loose matriarchal system. You know what I'm saying? Our subsystem. But it's a very one-dimensional way of doing it, and it's a very gaslighting, oppressor way of doing it. It's devaluing the complexity of our culture and the experiences which our culture derived from. And we got to realize that we have a different experience as a group than South Africans have, than Nigerians